José José Diaz on September 20, 2019 in Miami. And for almost 48 hours, nobody in Mexico knows for sure where his body is or what's being done with it. There's no clear information, no official statement, just rumors, leaks, and that kind of uncomfortable silence that feels louder than any headline. Meanwhile, his children in Mexico receive a message from Miami. Don't come. Everything here is under control. When there's a funeral, you'll be informed. That message combined with those 48 hours of total darkness becomes the spark that ignites the most painful war in the history of the Prince of Song. A war where no one is fighting over a living man anymore, but over what's left of his name, his body, and his legacy. Here you'll discover the will that was never publicly read, the audio recordings where José José reveals what he was truly suffering through, and the financial secret his children found out about far too late. Everything backed by documents, everything verifiable, and everything devastating. José José is born on February 17, 1948, as José Romulo Sosa Ortiz in the Claveria neighborhood of Mexico City. His father, José Sosa Esquivel, is an opera tenor at the Palacio de Bellas Artes, but he's also a functional alcoholic who disappears for days at a time. His mother, Margarita Ortiz, cleans other people's houses to keep the family afloat when the father doesn't bring money home. 3 children to feed, a husband who's rarely present, and the constant shame of being the wife of the neighborhood drunk singer. José is 8 years old when he hears his father singing drunk at 3 in the morning. It's Friday. The neighbors are banging on the walls in fury. His mother is crying in the kitchen, trying not to make a sound. José hides under the blankets with his little brother. He isn't crying because of the music. His father has a beautiful voice, even drunk. He's crying because of the shame, because he knows tomorrow at school the kids will talk. Your dad woke up the whole block again, singing like a lunatic. That moment plants a poisonous seed that will grow for 40 years, the association between artistic talent and self-destruction. José watches his father shine on the stage at the Palacio de Bellas Artes and collapse on the floor at home just hours later. Standing ovations followed by vomiting in the bathroom, flowers and gifts at the theater, unpaid bills on the kitchen table, and without anyone ever saying it out loud, José learns that maybe those two things belong together. Maybe you can't have one without the other. Maybe the price of talent is pain. Remember that detail. It will explain decisions José makes 30 years later when he has all the success in the world and no idea how to handle it without destroying himself. At 13, José becomes the de facto man of the house. His father left 6 months ago with a chorus girl he met at the theater. His mother works double shifts cleaning houses up in Las Lomas. José takes care of his younger siblings, cooks beans and rice, cleans, helps with school homework. By day, he goes to middle school. By night, he keeps the house running. No friends, no childhood, just responsibility sitting on his teenage shoulders like stone. His body is growing, but his childhood died a long time ago. At 15, José is 182 meters tall, skinny as a stick, painfully shy. Severe acne covers his face. Thick glasses make him look like a quiet little bookworm. Girls don't see him literally. They ignore him in the hallways. Teachers expect nothing special. He's an average student in an average school. But he has a voice. He still doesn't know how to use it professionally, but when he sings in the shower in the mornings, something happens. The sound resonates differently. It has texture, depth and emotion he can't explain. His mother hears him from the kitchen while she makes coffee. She stops, goes still, closes her eyes. It's her husband's voice, but purer. Without the poison of alcohol in it yet, José starts playing upright bass in night bars in Tepito and La Merced, places where people go to forget their problems, not to remember their dreams. Bars where the floor is sticky from decades of spilled beer, where fights break out almost every weekend, where José, barely 15, learns what men are like when no one is watching and alcohol has ripped off their social mask. He earns 50 pesos a night, from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m., 6 hours standing, holding an upright bass that weighs almost as much as he does. His fingers bleed the first few weeks until thick calluses form. He comes home at 4 a.m., smelling like cheap cigarettes and spilled beer. His mother doesn't ask where he's been. She already knows, and she's grateful he at least brings money to help with rent. At 16, Jose forms his first music group. They call themselves Los Peg, no particular meaning. They chose it because it sounded modern, American, like the bands they heard on the radio. Los Peg play quinceañeras in middle-class neighborhoods, San Rafael, Santa Maria la Ribera, doctores charging 300 pesos a night. They split the money between 4 musicians. Jose saves his share 75 pesos in an empty coffee can he hides under his bed. In 6 months, he saves enough to buy his first black suit. 2 buttons, pants that end a centimeter too short because there wasn't enough money to get them tailored. But it's his suit, bought with his money, his sweat. He wears it proudly to every performance for 3 years until the seams literally come apart and he has to throw it out. The 1960s are brutal for Jose. By day, he sells insurance door-to-door for Seguros Monterrey. He walks whole neighborhoods under the unforgiving Mexico City sun, offering policies no one wants. He gets 100 doors slammed in his face for every sale. Not interested. We already have insurance. We don't have money. Get out before I call the police. 100 doors to sell one miserable policy. At night, he sings in bars. He sleeps 5 hours if he's lucky. He eats once a day, usually tacos de canasta from the corner by his house. 3 tacos for 1 peso. He loses 8 kilos in a year. His pants hang off him. He has to tie them with rope so they won't fall. He develops stomach ulcers from stress and poor nutrition. But he doesn't quit. There's something in him, an irrational and unbreakable certainty that knows this is temporary. Something is going to change. He doesn't know what or when. He just knows he has to hold on a little longer. 1 more day, 1 more week, 1 more month. Jose is 20 years old. He's singing in a bar in Zona Rosa when an elegant man approaches after the final set. The man is Aníbal de Mar, a music producer with connections throughout the industry. He hands him a business card. "You've got something special. Call me next week." Jose thinks it's a cruel joke. Another one of those guys who promises the sky and never delivers. He throws the card into the first trash can he finds. 3 days later, he regrets it. He tries desperately to replay the moment in his mind, but he can't remember the full name. He spends an entire week trying to recall it. Finally, a musician friend tells him, Aníbal de Mar has an office on Insurgentes Sur. Jose shows up without an appointment. He sits in the waiting room for 4 hours. The secretary tells him 3 times to leave. Finally, Aníbal steps out of his office. "You again, Jose. I lost your card. I don't have a phone. I came in person." Aníbal laughs. "That's either persistence or unbelievable stupidity. I don't know which. Jose, maybe both. But I'm here." Aníbal lets him in. That meeting will change his life. And everything changes in one single night that becomes a legend. José José performs El Triste at the 2nd Latin Song Festival. The event is at the Teatro Ferrocarrilero in the Guerrero neighborhood. 2,000 people packed into the auditorium. José is backstage, paralyzed with nerves. He's sweating so much he has to change his shirt 3 times. Before he steps out, his hands are shaking uncontrollably. His stomach feels empty and nauseous at the same time. He's thrown up twice in the dressing room bathroom. He seriously considers running out, going back to selling insurance, forgetting this madness of trying to be a singer. Then he hears his name, amplified, José José, with El Triste. He walks toward the stage like a sleepwalker. The lights blind him completely. He can't see the audience. It's better that way. If he could see 2,000 pairs of eyes staring at him, he'd probably faint. And when he starts to sing, something extraordinary happens. The audience goes completely silent. Not the silence of boredom or distraction, the silence of absolute astonishment. 2,000 people holding their breath at the same time. Some have tears rolling down their cheeks and don't even realize it. When Jose finishes the last note, there are 3 seconds of total, absolute silence. Jose thinks he failed, that it was terrible, that he never should have tried. Then the applause explodes. Everyone stands. 2,000 people on their feet, screaming, crying, clapping until their hands hurt. Jose doesn't even understand what just happened. He only knows something fundamentally changed in those 3.5 minutes. The song doesn't win the festival. It comes in third. Roberto Carlos wins with Amada Amante. Jose is deeply disappointed. He thinks it was his one chance, and he wasted it. He goes back to his apartment depressed until something happens over the next few hours that nobody anticipates. Not even the festival organizers. His apartment phone starts ringing, and it doesn't stop for 3 straight days. Managers, producers, record label owners, concert promoters, everyone wants to sign José José immediately. Offers start at 5,000 pesos, then 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. Contracts for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Jose understands absolutely nothing about legal contracts. He reads the words but doesn't grasp the consequences of clauses like royalties in perpetuity or territorial exclusivity. He signs the first contract that sounds generous. It will be the first catastrophic mistake of many. In 6 unbelievable months, José José goes from filthy bars where they pay him 50 pesos to elegant theaters of 5,000 people, where he earns thousands per night. Teatro de la Ciudad, the Auditorio Nacional. Within a year, he's doing successful international tours. Argentina, where they adore him. Chile, where he's a sensation. Peru, where they call him the Prince of Song. Everything is happening too fast to process. Jose is only 23. He has no experienced honest manager, no competent accountant, no lawyer protecting his interests. He only has his incredible voice and a city full of sharks who want to make money off that voice before he realizes its real value. There's a radio interview from 1971 that almost nobody remembers today, but it was prophetic. It was on Radio Centro, a morning show hosted by Pepe Grillo. Jose is promoting his second album, freshly released. The conversation is light and friendly until Pepe asks an apparently innocent question: how has sudden success changed your life? Jose answers something that makes the host laugh nervously, unsure if it's a joke. Success doesn't fundamentally change who you are. It only reveals who you always were underneath. And sometimes what it reveals isn't pretty. Sometimes you discover you were happier when you were nobody. Pepe tries to make it sound like charming false modesty. He cracks a joke, tries to change the subject, but Jose doesn't laugh. There's an awkward 5-second silence on live radio. Then Jose adds something even more unsettling. When you're poor, your problems are simple and direct. You don't have money. That's the problem. When you have money, you discover you had deeper problems. Problems money only makes bigger and more complicated. Money is an amplifier. It amplifies what's good, but it also amplifies what's broken. It's a deeply philosophical observation from a 23-year-old, and it will become tragically prophetic 30 years later. Remember those exact words. In 3 decades, they'll explain perfectly why José José died almost broke, despite having earned $80 million. By 1973, José José is unquestionably the most recognized and beloved voice in all of Latin America. He's sold 80 million records, an almost impossible number to comprehend. His concerts sell out in hours, sometimes minutes. In some major cities, hysterical teenagers camp outside ticket booths 2 days before tickets even go on sale. In Guadalajara, riot police have to intervene because a desperate crowd of 5,000 people literally collapses the theater doors trying to get tickets. 3 people end up hospitalized with fractures. Jose is terrified by the intensity of the devotion, but also addicted to it. Addicted to the deafening applause, the almost religious adoration, the feeling maybe for the first time in his miserable life that he matters, that he's valuable, that he's worthy of love. This is where the self-destructive pattern begins, the one that will eventually destroy everything. Jose doesn't manage his own money. When journalists or friends ask why he doesn't oversee his finances, his answer is always exactly the same. I don't understand those complicated things. That's why I hire people smarter than me. He signs thick contracts without reading them fully, blindly trusting that lawyers are protecting him. He trusts managers who steal from him systematically and shamelessly. His first official accountant, a man named Ricardo Fuentes, who seemed honest and professional, disappears in March of 1975 with exactly 200,000 pesos from Jose's accounts. He simply stops showing up to the office on a normal Monday. His phone is disconnected. His apartment is empty. He evaporates. Jose finds out 3 weeks later when his bank politely notifies him that his main account is overdrawn by 50,000 pesos. Close friends and worried colleagues urgently tell him to file criminal charges, go to the judicial police, hire a private investigator, do whatever it takes to track Ricardo down and recover at least some of what was stolen. Jose refuses flatly. It's my fault for trusting someone blindly, he says with resignation. But the truth is more complex and sadder than simple guilt. Jose has a deep, paralyzing fear of lawyers, of legal paperwork full of incomprehensible terms, of financial conversations where people use concepts he doesn't fully understand. All of it painfully reminds him that he didn't go to university, that he comes from Claveria, the poor neighborhood, not Polanco, the rich one, that maybe he doesn't really deserve to be where he is, that maybe all of this was blind luck, and luck, as everyone knows, can run out at any moment without warning. So Jose lets the money slip away like water through his fingers. He hires another accountant who seems trustworthy. That one steals too, though less openly than Ricardo, just skimming 10% off every transaction. Then he hires another, and another, and another in an endless succession. The money keeps pouring in from every direction, in shocking amounts, and it keeps disappearing just as mysteriously. Managers taking an outrageous 50% commission for making basic phone calls. Producers brutally inflating recording budgets and pocketing the difference. Friends borrowing 20,000 pesos for emergencies and never returning a single peso. Jose says yes to absolutely everything. He becomes known throughout the music industry as the most generous one. But genuine generosity and paralyzing fear look exactly the same from the outside. The crucial difference is internal and invisible. One comes from an abundant heart, the other comes from insecurity and shame. Jose gives because he's terrified that if he ever says no, even once, everyone will finally discover he's a complete fraud, that his voice was a genetic accident, that any day now he'll wake up and he'll be back to selling insurance door to door in Tepito. Jose is at a lavish party in Acapulco, one of those exclusive entertainment industry parties where everyone pretends to be best friends, but they're really competing viciously for contracts and attention. Jose is on the terrace overlooking the ocean, alone on purpose. He doesn't like crowds, ironically. Too many eyes, too many expectations. He's on his third Cuba Libre. He feels the warm, comforting burn of rum in his empty stomach. It's a familiar sensation, one that reminds him of his father-like coming home after a long trip. Anel Norena arrives with a loud group of model friends. She's a successful professional model, stunning in a way that literally stops conversations. Just turned 21. Jet black hair down to her waist, jade green eyes, flawless bronze skin. Men surround her instantly, competing aggressively for her attention, all trying to impress her with exaggerated stories of their achievements. Jose watches her from a dark corner of the terrace. His first thought is automatic. She's unattainable. Too beautiful for someone like him. But alcohol gives him artificial courage. He approaches, heart pounding wildly. The other men visibly bristle. "Who is this guy?" Someone whispers, recognizing him. It's José José, the singer. The tone changes immediately, dramatically. The men step aside respectfully, like the sea parting. José asks Anel to dance. She says yes without hesitation. They dance 3 songs in a row. They don't say a single word. They don't need to. The chemistry is instant, electric, dangerous. They both feel it burning. They marry 9 months later in a spectacular wedding. Basilica of Guadalupe. 500 carefully selected guests. Live television coverage on 3 channels. Anel arrives in an imported white limousine, a custom-made gown by a famous Spanish designer, a 30-meter lace train. Jose wears an Italian black tuxedo. He's sweating profusely under the lights, nervous to the point of nausea. He's had 3 generous whiskeys before leaving the house. For the nerves, he tells himself. Anel smells it on him immediately when he approaches the altar. She says nothing. She smiles perfectly for the dozens of cameras. Years later, in 1997, in a devastatingly honest interview, when the marriage is completely destroyed and the divorce is open warfare, Anel says something that explains everything. "I fell in love with his voice," she says. "Long before I fell in love with him as a person. I listened to his records alone in my room and cried uncontrollably. I felt like he knew me intimately, like he was singing just for me. When I finally met him in person, it was almost disappointing. He wasn't the romantic, deep man from the songs. He was painfully shy, insecure about everything. He drank too much from the very beginning, but I naively thought I could change him with pure love, that my love would be enough to save him from himself. When she says this on camera, her eyes shine with tears, but her face is hard as stone. It's the look of someone who learned the hardest lesson, that love, no matter how genuine or deep, doesn't save anyone who doesn't desperately want to be saved. José José was born on August 25, 1976. He weighs 3.2 kilos. Born at 4:47 a.m. at the Hospital Español. Anel endures a brutal 18-hour labor. José is not at the hospital. He's on tour in Colombia, Bogotá, specifically. He's notified by international phone call. Congratulations, it's a boy. 3.2 kilos, José says, excited that he'll take the first available flight back immediately. He doesn't. There are 2 more concerts scheduled. Canceling them would cost 50,000 pesos in contractual penalties. José doesn't cancel. He arrives at the hospital 4 full days after the birth. He enters the private room with an enormous bouquet of red roses, 36 of them, the most expensive in the shop. Anel is in the white hospital bed, the baby sleeping in her arms. She's pale, exhausted, but radiant. José approaches slowly, looks at his son for the first time. The baby is deeply asleep, tiny, fragile, perfect. José awkwardly extends his arms. Anel hands him the baby with extreme care. José holds him like an invaluable glass object that could shatter with one wrong movement. The baby wakes up and starts crying immediately. José freezes. He has no idea what to do. Panic in his eyes. Anel efficiently takes the baby back. It's okay, he's just hungry. José feels completely useless, inadequate as a father. He leaves the room with a weak excuse about getting coffee. He doesn't come back for 2 hours. The professional photographer from Hola magazine arrives 20 minutes later as scheduled. They take dozens of perfect photos of the ideal happy family. José holding the baby with a practiced smile, Anel glowing, everything perfectly staged. The photos run the following week, full cover. José José proudly presents his heir. The photos are objectively beautiful. No one can see that José's hands are slightly trembling from a hangover, that his eyes are red from lack of sleep and drinking on the flight, that Anel is clenching her teeth until they hurt to keep her smile frozen. José stays exactly 3 days, then leaves on tour again. Venezuela this time, Caracas, Maracaibo, Valencia. He doesn't see his son again for 3 full weeks. When he finally returns to Mexico, José Joel is no longer the newborn he left. He's a 1-month-old baby with an emerging personality. José feels deeply that he lost something precious and irreparable during those weeks, but he doesn't know how to recover it or even how to begin trying. So he does what he always does when faced with something emotionally complicated. He leaves again. He runs. He hides behind work, tours, music. Marisol is born on August 18, 1978. The delivery is considerably easier than the first only 6 hours of labor. José is in Mexico when Anel starts having contractions. They call him at 10 at night. He's at an important formal dinner with producers and record label executives. He's been drinking heavily all evening. Red wine with dinner, expensive brandy after dessert. When he gets the urgent call, he apologizes politely. My wife is in labor. I must go to the hospital immediately. He arrives at the Hospital Español at 1:30 in the morning, staggering, desperately trying to look sober. He fools no one. Everyone can smell the alcohol. Doctors normally don't allow fathers into the delivery room, especially visibly drunk fathers. But this is José José. The head nurse is a fan. They make a special exception. José enters the delivery room. He sees his wife in intense pain, sweating, screaming with every contraction. He sees bloodlots of blood on the sheets and the floor. He gets instantly dizzy. The room spins. He has to sit down before he faints. A worried nurse brings him a glass of cold water. The baby is born at exactly 2:14 a.m. A beautiful girl. She cries immediately, lungs impressively strong. The doctor partially cuts the umbilical cord with surgical scissors, then ceremoniously offers them to José. Would you like to finish cutting it, Dad? José takes the scissors with violently trembling hands. He can't hold them steady for even a second. The doctor notices with professional concern. He gently takes José's hands and guides them. Together, they complete the cut. Anel watches this entire devastating scene from the bed. She sees her husband's uncontrollably shaking hands. She sees that he can't complete a simple task without physical help. Something fundamental changes in her gaze at that exact moment. A silent but definitive decision is made. It isn't spoken aloud. Maybe it isn't even fully conscious yet, but it's there, solidifying. Anil decides in that instant that she can't depend on Jose for anything important in life, that she'll have to be both full mother and full father at the same time, that Jose will be more like an irresponsible older brother than a reliable partner or present father. It's a devastating conclusion reached just 2 years into the marriage, once full of hope. But Anel is practical and realistic. She accepts reality as it is, not as she wishes it were, and immediately begins planning how to survive and thrive within it. Jose Joel is 7 years old when he finds his father unconscious on the bathroom floor. It's a completely normal Tuesday. Jose Joel gets home from elementary school at exactly 4:30 p.m. He neatly puts his blue backpack in his room. He looks specifically for his father to proudly show him a drawing he made in art class, a colorful picture of a happy family. Dad, Mom, Jose Joel, and Marisol holding hands, all smiling big smiles. His teacher wrote, "Excellent work," in red pen. Jose Joel desperately wants his dad to see it and feel proud. He opens the hallway bathroom door. His father is lying face down on the cold tile floor, completely unconscious in a dangerous position. Acidic vomit pooled on the floor, on his white shirt, on his face. The smell is horrible, sharp, and penetrating, filling the small bathroom. Jose Joel doesn't scream like a normal child would. He freezes completely, staring, desperately trying to understand what he's seeing. His 7-year-old brain can't process the surreal scene. The man who smiles on national television. The man thousands of people applaud standing up. The man his mother says works so hard to give them a good life. That admired man is lying on the bathroom floor, covered in his own vomit. Jose Joel finally reacts and runs downstairs screaming. His mother is in the living room, calmly talking on the phone. Jose Joel desperately pulls at her dress. Mom? Mom, Daddy's on the bathroom floor. Anel hangs up immediately without saying goodbye. What did you say? Jose Joel repeats, breathless. Daddy's on the bathroom floor. He's not moving. Anel runs upstairs with controlled panic. Jose Joel tries desperately to follow. She slams the bathroom door in his face. Go to your room. Now, she says in a voice Jose Joel has never heard before. A voice of professional panic, functional terror, a mother protecting her child from something truly horrible. Jose Joel doesn't go to his room. He stays frozen in the dark hallway, listening to everything. He hears his mother crying in a way he's never heard her cry before. He hears her urgently speaking on the phone. I need a private doctor right now. No, absolutely no ambulance. No hospital under any circumstances. He has to come to the house. Absolute discretion is essential. Yes, I'll pay whatever extra it costs. I don't care how much. Jose Joel hears the word paparazzi repeated several times in a terrified tone. We can't make this public in any way. Do you understand? His career, his public image, everything is destroyed if this gets out. That day, Jose Joel learns something no 7-year-old should ever learn. That in his family there are things far more important than Dad as a person, like Dad's public image. Like the money Dad generates, like protecting the secret of who Dad really is behind the cameras and smiles. Marisol is 6 years old when she learns that the only real way to emotionally survive in her dysfunctional family is to develop an elaborate prediction system. She needs to know, at any given moment, exactly what to expect from her father, whether it's safe to approach him, whether she should hide in her room, whether she should immediately call Mom. It isn't optional preference. It's basic survival. She develops a surprisingly sophisticated system based on meticulous, almost scientific observation. When her father arrives home from wherever he's been, Marisol waits strategically on the stair's perfect position to see clearly without being easily seen. She watches carefully how Dad walks from the front door to the living room. Based solely on the way he walks, she determines the exact danger level. Level 1, he drags his feet very slightly, walks slowly but in a relatively straight line. He's conscious and present. You can talk to him normally. He'll respond coherently, maybe a little grumpy, but manageable, completely safe to approach and ask for things. Level 2, he visibly staggers, occasionally stopping to keep his balance. He grabs furniture to steady himself. He's confused and disoriented. You can talk to him, but he won't remember the conversation tomorrow. Don't ask important questions. Don't ask for favors or permission. Wait until tomorrow. Not completely safe, but not actively dangerous. Level 3, he leans on walls constantly, walks in a pronounced zigzag. His eyes can't focus on anything. He's very drunk. Leave him completely alone. Don't talk to him under any circumstances. Don't make noise that might irritate him. Avoid entirely. Not safe for interaction. Level 4, he can't walk at all. He crawls pathetically or just lies where he fell. Call mom immediately without delay. Potential medical emergency. Extremely dangerous. A 6-year-old girl shouldn't have this kind of detailed system. A 6-year-old should be playing carefree with Barbie dolls, watching cartoons on Saturdays, worrying innocently about which pretty dress to wear to a friend's birthday party, not developing emergency medical protocols to clinically assess her own father's level of alcohol intoxication. But Marisol perfects the system through constant practice and generously teaches it to her older brother to protect him. There's also a radio recording from 1985 with Jacobo Zabludovsky that temporarily changed how all of Mexico saw José José, at least until the well-oiled public relations machinery did its job and buried the story under a more acceptable narrative. The full recording is from the live program En Privado. José is actively promoting his album Reflexiones. The interview begins completely normally, with predictable, safe questions. Then Zabludovsky asks an apparently innocent question about family. José falls completely silent. 3 full seconds that feel like an eternity on live television. Then he says something that leaves the veteran host speechless. My children see me as a stranger who occasionally shows up at the house, and honestly, they're completely right. I appear without warning. I bring expensive gifts to compensate. They see me smiling on television, hear my romantic music on the radio. They know biologically that I'm their father, because everyone tells them I am. But do they really know me as a person? No. Do I know them as individuals? I don't. I don't know my son's favorite color. I don't know what my daughter likes for breakfast. I don't know the names of their best friends at school. I don't know anything that actually matters. Total, absolute silence in the studio. Zabludovsky, a seasoned professional with 30 years of impeccable experience, has no idea how to respond. José keeps digging deeper. They deserved a better father, a present father, a father who went to school recitals, who helped with math homework, who actually knew them. I'm not that father. I'm the father who sends money and shows up on magazine covers. He laughs after saying it, a deeply nervous, painfully uncomfortable laugh, as if he suddenly realizes what he's just said on live television and is desperately trying to turn it into self-deprecating humor. But it's too late. The words are out there, recorded, impossible to take back. A devastating truth, weakly disguised as dark humor. José Joel watches it at home with his mother and sister. He's 9 years old. He understands every word perfectly and painfully. His father has just admitted on national television in front of 15 million people that he doesn't know them, that he's a stranger in his own house. José Joel looks at his mother, searching for an explanation. Anel's eyes are shining with restrained tears, but her face is hardened like a stone mask. That night, José comes home drunk. The fight is epic. The children hear terrifying fragments. Shame, public humiliation. How dare you? All of Mexico, your own children. Never again. Something heavy breaks. Maybe an expensive lamp. A door slams violently. A car engine roars to life. José leaves again, to God knows where. José is in Miami recording an album when he meets Sarah Salazar. She's 23, a production assistant. José is 43, married for 16 years, 2 teenage children, and none of it matters. To Sarah, José isn't an untouchable icon. He's just José, a shy man who tells bad jokes and nervously asks if the coffee is okay. For the first time, José can breathe without weight. The relationship is secret. 6 months of apparent happiness. Then someone photographs them leaving a Cuban restaurant. The photo lands on the cover of TV Notice. Giant headline. Anel sees the magazine at a supermarket. She buys 20 copies, all the ones available, and burns them ceremonially in the backyard. José Joel, 15 years old, watches her do it without saying a word. The divorce takes 3 brutal years. Anel asks for monthly support, 50% of everything. José signs without reading or negotiating. Let her have absolutely everything. I just want peace. But here's what nobody knew. José doesn't have 50% of anything. Of the $80 million generated over 20 years, less than $2 million are actually left. Everything else vanished into thin air. José Joel confronts his father in 1994. Why are you giving everything to Mom? José answers, because it's exactly what I deserve for all the damage I did. Dad, I suffered that damage too. Marisol did too. Where's our compensation? Silence. Are you ever going to fight for anything? More silence. That's their last real conversation for 5 years. José marries Sarah while she's pregnant. José, Joel, and Marisol aren't invited. They find out on television. Marisol calls 22 times. The last call is answered by a woman's voice. José can't talk right now. Click. Sarita is born on September 27, 1995. She's the only child born while José is sober. 3 years without alcohol. José wakes up early, makes pancakes, helps with homework, never smells like alcohol. Sarita grows up with the father José Joel, and Marisol never had. I'm genuinely happy for her, José Joel says, but it hurts knowing Dad was always capable of being that. José Joel tries to reconcile. He's 29, newly married. He flies to Miami without warning. Sarah opens the door. What are you doing here? I came to see my dad. Sarah blocks the entrance. José doesn't want to see you. A voice from inside. Who is it, Sarah? Without turning around. Nobody important. An eternal pause. Tell him to leave. José Joel cries on the porch like an abandoned child. But here's the secret. José José wrote long, emotional letters. José Joel, forgive me for choosing alcohol over you every time. Marisol, I stole your entire childhood. 22 letters. He would write them, cry, and put them away. I'll send them tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. Sarah found them. She kept them in a safe. She never mentioned them, never delivered them. Relapse, 11 years of sobriety destroyed. Sarah finds him unconscious. Doctors tell him, if he keeps drinking, 2 years max. José smiles. Then there'll be 2 good years. He's not joking. 2007 to 2015 are ghost years. He cancels more shows than he performs. He owes millions. Rents an apartment for $2,000 a month. The man who made $80 million can't buy a house. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. José, Joel, and Marisol find out through Univision. They fly urgently. Hospital. Instructions not to allow visits. Lawyers can do nothing. There's a recording. A nurse accidentally records a conversation. José asks weakly, did the kids call? Sarah answers, no, love. Nobody has called. Reality. José, Joel, and Marisol called 37 times that day. Every call was intercepted. José dies believing his children abandoned him. They beg in the hospital lobby to see him. Wheelchair. 52 kilos. Sarita, 23, abandons everything. College, job, life. She cares for him 24 hours a day. Bathes him. Cleans wounds. Changes adult diapers. January 2019. José signs power of attorney. Sarah and Sarita control everything. José, Joel, and Marisol are removed. February 2019. $430,000 transferred to the Bahamas. 3 transactions. The money disappears. Trail lost. Cayman Islands. September 3rd. José is lucid. Tell your siblings I'm sorry, that I never stopped thinking about them, that I was a coward, that I understand if they hate me, Sarita promises. She thinks there's time. There isn't. September 28, 2019, 12 to 17 a.m. José José dies. His last word, forgive me. The body disappears for 48 hours. A journalist receives an anonymous message. José José died 2 days ago. The family in Mexico doesn't know. The story breaks. Mexico explodes. José Joel finds out through Twitter. Sarah says, we needed private time. José Joel asks, where is the body? They go to the funeral home. Doors close. Police say they need a judge's order. José José trends in Mexico for 5 days. The government intervenes. Diplomatic pressure. Sarah agrees, but with conditions. The remains will be divided, cremated. Half in Miami, half in Mexico. A man divided in death, just as he was in life. The death certificate doesn't match. Different times listed. José Joel hires an investigator. Irregularities everywhere. Nothing proven. The funeral at the Palacio de Bellas Artes. 200,000 people. 3 presidents. 14 million watch. José Joel cries openly. Mexico cries with him. The will, 3 versions. 1990, everything divided equally. 2005, everything to Sarah and Sarita, explicitly excluding José Joel and Marisol. 2019, Sarita 80%, Sarah 15%, José Joel and Marisol 2.5% each. A clause, if they contest, they lose everything. 14 months of legal battle. December 2020, a confidential settlement. José Joel and Marisol receive less than 5%. Total inheritance, under $500,000. 80 million earned. 500,000 left. The letters. José Joel asks for access. Sarah refuses. They're private. Legally correct. José Joel will never read what his father wrote. He'll never know if he truly repented. Today, 2025, 6 years later, José José's 3 children live completely separate lives, not just geographically, but emotionally, spiritually, as if the last name Sosa were a coincidence, not shared blood. José Joel is 49, a television producer at Televisa, married to Karina Mulek. 3 children, Daniela, Emiliano, Santiago. He's obsessively present in their lives. Every soccer game, every homework assignment, Sunday pancakes with chocolate chips, the ones his father never made for him. I'm overcompensating, he tells his therapist every week. I'm terrified my kids will feel what I felt, that emptiness. So I do too much. I'm probably suffocating them with my presence, the way my father suffocated me with his absence. In interviews, his answer is always the same. I miss the man he was, but I also deeply miss the father I never had. I don't know which loss hurts more. He hasn't contacted Sarita again. Maybe one day, but not today. Every September 28th, he goes alone to the French cemetery. He sits in silence for an hour. I don't know what I'm doing there, he says, but I go anyway. Marisol is 47, a fashion designer. Marisol Sosa Designs never uses the name José José to sell. Married to Jorge Reynoso, an architect who didn't know who her father was when they met. For the first time, someone saw me, not the last name. They have no children. A conscious decision. I'm afraid of repeating patterns, afraid of being absent like him or controlling like my mother. She's been in intensive therapy twice a week for 10 years. My therapist says I'm hypervigilant, a survival mechanism from growing up with an alcoholic father. I thought it was a special talent. It was a wound. Every February 17th, she posts the same photo on Instagram. José José holding her at 2 years old. No caption. Just 3 emojis, a heart, a dove, a musical note, as if to say, this existed once. In 2021, she messaged Sarita. Hi, I'm your sister. I'd like to meet you. No reply. It doesn't keep me up at night anymore. Sarita is 30, a real estate agent in Miami. She sold $2.8 million in properties in 2024. She's studying for a master's in business administration, lives with her mother Sarah in Coral Gables. Rent in Miami is insane, she says, but friends say it's more complicated, that Sarah is controlling, that Sarita never developed emotional independence. She tried music in 2020. 2 singles, Inheritance and Fly Free, 100,000 streams each. Respectable, not a hit. Living under the shadow of the Sosa name in music is impossible. The comparison is inevitable. No one can win. She has no relationship with José Joel or Marisol. 0 contact. When asked why she didn't attend the funeral, it was too much emotionally. My mom thought it would become a media circus. A rehearsed answer. When she received Marisol's message, she read it 5 times. Wrote a reply 3 times. Deleted all 3. Never sent it. What do you say to a sister you never knew? A sister who believes you and your mother stole her father? She goes to the Miami cemetery every month, brings red roses, sits on the grass. speaks out loud. Hi, Daddy. I sold another house this week. The relationship between the three is non-existent. They don't follow each other on social media. No Christmas messages, no birthdays. 6 years of zero contact. Polite, empty diplomatic statements. I wish them well. Polite lies. The truth is more complicated. José Joel carries anger toward Sarah, toward his father, toward himself for not fighting harder. Marisol carries resigned sadness. She's accepted that some doors close permanently. Sarita carries confused guilt. She knows she received a version of their father her siblings never did. This is the cruelest part of José José's legacy. Not the addiction, not the lost money, not the destroyed voice. This. 3 children who shared the same father but shared nothing else. 3 people connected by genetics, separated by everything else. 3 survivors of the same shipwreck who swam in opposite directions and never found each other again. José José left behind songs that 3 generations know by heart. El Triste, Gavilán o Paloma, Almohada, melodies that made millions cry. But he also left a question his 3 children carry every day. Is it possible to forgive someone who never asked for forgiveness? Is it possible to love someone who chose to love you only from a distance? Is it possible to grieve a father who died twice, once when he rejected you, and once when his heart stopped beating? José Joel, Marisol, and Sarita are trying to answer those questions, each in their own way, each alone, with therapists, partners, friends, but without the only 2 people who would truly understand, their siblings. It's tragedy within tragedy. José José didn't just destroy his own life. He destroyed the possibility that his children could support one another. He left them not only without a father, but without a family that could understand them. Alone. Exactly the way he lived, and the way he died. If this story affected you, like and subscribe. Next video, the children of Vicente Fernandez, and the son who isn't actually his biological son. Everyone in the family knew, except him. I'll see you there.